Good Wednesday morning. It is November the 25th, the day before Thanksgiving, and we are thankful that you are here with us for RandHSports, the SEC Week 14 report. We are excited about being able to visit with you today. A lot of strange things going on in the Southeastern Conference. It was not a great week for the conference. It was also not a great week for one coach, Les Miles. Bringing us in to talk about this, of course, our friend from Houston, the author of Gumbo for the Tiger's Soul, is Ses Guerra. Ses, how you doing this morning?
Doing well. Good morning. Happy to be here, and happy
Happy
Thanksgiving to
Thanksgiving.
you, your family, and all the viewers out there in Spreecast world.
Thanks very much for being with us as always. We appreciate it.
Of course.
Okay, let's get right to it. It was not a good week for the SEC. We had a lot of bad losses this past week, and we had one of the strangest weeks I've ever seen, where a guy goes from being with a team that goes 7-0 and is number 2 in the country to having lost 3 in a row, and the thing that I never imagined would happen, but it looks like at this point that Les Miles may be coaching his final game at Tiger Stadium this coming weekend against the Texas A&M Aggies. Let's talk a little bit about that. Your thoughts on what you've seen
Sure.
happen this week, and what you know about all this craziness.
Sure. And then I'll have a question for you at the end of it. But it's a trend that we've seen over the last 3 years or so. Tigers start out fairly strong and confidently, and then towards the end of the season get knocked off by Alabama and either Ole Miss or Arkansas or both. And the combined record over the last 3 years is 2-7. SEC record over the last few years is like 19-12. There's a lot to be concerned about with the trend, and I know where I point the finger squarely on the one issue on this team, and I'll ask you if you were to put the blame on one issue, on the reason for LSU's demise at the end of the season or at any point in time, what would it be, Brian? What would you say the one reason that LSU is kind of in a quagmire?
This year, I don't think I don't think you can say trend this year, because I think that this year, and I know where you're going, because I know it's quarterback. I understand that, but this year, what? Now, no, okay, that's fine, but I don't believe that was the problem this year. I do believe it was an ingredient. I don't think that Brandon Harris is consistent, but I do believe that the problem this year was that their offensive and defensive lines got manhandled. I don't think that Tom Brady could have played behind the offensive line play that they've gotten the last 3 weeks. So that's So again, I don't think you can say categorically that there's one thing that was a problem this year. I think it was a number of things this year.
Oh, sure, sure. No, I totally agree with you. It's a combination of penalties. You throw in poor special teams play. You throw in a lack of depth on both the offensive and defensive lines. I mean, you've got strong SEC caliber players on both sides of the ball, but you don't have the depth or the experience. And yeah, all of that contributes it. But I would say to you categorically that it is quarterback development, and it's named to me the LSU quarterbacks that stand out in your mind over the last
Uh,
11 years.
Mettenberger,
Junior
Jamarcus
college
Russell,
transfer.
and Matt Flynn.
Yeah,
Mettenberger, Jamarcus, and Matt Flynn.
yeah,
And no argument, no argument at all.
yeah,
I don't have a problem with that. I totally understand that. I'm as frustrated with the offense on a year-to-year
right.
basis as anybody. Um, the one thing that I'm having a problem with, though, Seth, is that in the world of college football, at least over the 40 years plus that I've been covering it, the history would be to be based on a guy with the record that Les has had and what he's done for the school, and the success he's had. Usually, in normal situations, a coach is given a chance to get it fixed.
Right. I agree with that. And my opinion is that Les deserves another year. And I think he needs to wipe the slate clean, and probably 90% of those coaches need to go. Um, Defensive secondary. Let's take a look at the defensive secondary. We're supposed to be defense DBU, and I mean, time and time again, these cornerbacks and safeties are getting beat. They're out of position. They're missing their communication. So, everybody talks about Corey Raymond being this great secondary coach, but I don't see it.
I just before I lost internet connection here, the thing that I think that definitely needs to happen is that he needs to make changes in his offensive staff. And Les's history has always been I don't think he's ever publicly fired an assistant coach. Usually something he's managed to manipulate things in the background where these guys have been able to parachute out without being thrown under the bus. And I think that's a real credit to Les that he's been able to do that all these years. What I'm
Sure.
saying though is Cam Cameron's contract's up at the end of the year. Don't renew it. Make whatever changes that you need to make in your offensive coaching staff. I think that because he just made the changes in the defensive coaching staff, that you've got a lot of guys who were recruited under the previous regime, and they're playing in a different system now. I can't make a blanket judgment yet on Kevin Steele and Ed Orgeron and company. I just can't. I don't think it's fair because they've only been there. This is their first year. They're 3-4 coaches, and what they were playing before was 4-3. It's a different scheme. Not trying to make excuses for them. I just don't. I can't say categorically that they need to fire 90% of the coaches. I just don't know what's being asked of the players who were recruited and with the change in the system. I'm just trying to be as objective about this
Yeah.
as I can.
Sure.
But regardless,
Sure. Sure.
there absolutely needs to be changes made, and I believe Les deserves the opportunity to make the
Sure.
changes that are necessary.
Sure. If Les stays, I think 90% of the staff will be gone. Like Ed Ogeron, I think he's a great coach, but I think he'll be gone via his own will.
Well,
I think
he's already talking. He's already talking about other jobs, so he's basically quit already. So
sure, sure. I think he'll find a nice place at one of the openings, one of the many openings across the college football landscape. So I think he's gone. I think Camp Cameron's gone.
well, I
Um,
mean, let's just cut to the chase, Seth. I think Les is gone. I think the administration killed him this week. I think what they did this week to Les was shameful. It's
ah,
to float that story. No, let me hear me out. To float
sure.
that story out there, to float that story out there this week that he was literally they were looking to get rid of him by the end of the week, to have that story float out there, then to not for no one in the administration to come out and say anything, to let him have to march out there on Monday in a press conference and answer questions when no one else in the administration, including your athletic director or all these guys on the board who have all this influence, sat there and let him twist in the wind. I think they killed his program. I think there's no way he comes back now. They lost a quarterback because of it this week. I think that if you bring him back now, you've completely split the fan base. You've got a 50-50 split on people that think he needs to leave and needs to stay. I just see no way that he comes back. I see that they make the announcement as soon as the game's over. They didn't give the guy a chance to even get a proper send off. I just think they killed him this week. So I think they undermined the program. They undermined his recruiting class. I think he's a dead man walking now. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised if they go out and get crushed against A&M this week because of all the distractions that went on with this.
Yeah, I'm not saying you're wrong. I hope you are, but um, I think
My
Philippe
experience
Frank.
watching things. Yeah, go ahead.
I think the quarterback you referred to, Philippe Frank, was gone a month ago.
Maybe
I don't
so,
think. Yeah,
but
yeah.
this
I think
started
that.
about a month ago too.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think anybody with any quarterback worth his salt is just crazy to go to LSU under under the current circumstances. And yes, I'll lay the blame at Joe Oliva for the way this rolled out.
But see, I think
I'd like to
Oliva's a
see.
I think
I'd like
Oliva's
to.
a puppet. I think the Taft people, whoever it was that higher up administrator that gave that story to the Morning Advocate, was not Joe Oliva. And I believe that the power brokers. I don't even think Joe Oliva is going to have a say in who the next coach is. To be honest with you, I think he's a puppet.
Well, since you're one of the power brokers, I'd like to know
No,
what's
hardly,
going on. What?
hardly. I listen. I watched this at Texas. And I'm telling you, I think he's dead. I think there's no way
Okay.
that they have any interest in him coming back. I think he's a dead man walking now. The question is, and this is the thing, LSU fans, be careful what you wish for, because we watched it with Texas. LSU has this misguided notion that they can go out and hire anyone they want. Texas thought the same thing. Then they had to settle for their third choice, and they're still, And the last time this happened, LSU did this to Charlie McClendon, and they went through about a 10-year abyss, if not longer. So all
20.
I know is if you make this change, you better have your man in your back pocket, and you better have it sewed up, because what I see happening is just like the number one candidate right now that they seem to be targeting is Jimbo Fisher. Well, that's all fine and good, but why would Jimbo Fisher make basically a lateral move? He's got a great job right where he is. I think he's going to get a huge extension and raise out of this from Florida State, and he's going to stay right where he is. I think there's going to
Right.
be several coaches that use this situation, and I think LSU is going to end up getting left holding the bag, even though they've got an extremely talented team next year that's going to be very, very good. And if they can hold that recruiting class together, somebody's going to walk into a golden situation. But the thought that you can just walk out there and say, "Oh, we're LSU. Anybody will come and coach for us. Leave any job for that." That's just stupid, because we've seen that with so many schools that said that and then ended up not getting the guy they wanted.
Right. Right.
So that's my opinion.
USC West thought they got the guy they wanted, but he turned out to be an alcoholic, and
I mean,
and
better
so
make the
they
right
could.
choice if you're going to do
Yeah.
this.
Oh no, I'm with you. It's not an easy position to be in. I don't envy Joe Oliva or the power brokers or whatever, um, because some of these other hot names that they're talking about, I don't. I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced the coach of U of H or the coach of
Well,
Memphis are
if you
the
if you
answer.
win if you win almost 80% of your ball games, and that's not good enough, why would a coach come here? You talk about a quarterback. Why would a coach come and take this job knowing that 80% of your wins and the expectation that you ought to beat Nick Saban every year? I mean, nobody does that. Yeah, Hugh Freeze did it two years in a row. Let's see what happens next year when his entire team graduates or goes pro early, and we'll see how that works. I mean,
Right.
it's just asinine. The whole thing is insane. Um,
Right.
you know, I mean, Les has got his faults. There's no question, but it's the devil you know as opposed to the devil you don't know. And we went through the
Right.
devil you don't know with people like Curly Hallman. Jerry DiNardo had it going for a couple of years, and then it fell apart because
Mike Archer.
he made bad stuff. You see, and personally, yeah, I'm not even so certain Archer should have been fired. But that's a long time ago. That's a billion years.
Right.
But DiNardo, he made bad staff changes. When he brought in Lou Tepper at defense, that killed his situation.
Right.
And then they got lucky. And they managed to find Nick Saban when nobody really knew who Nick Saban was. They knew
Right.
he was a good coach, but they had no idea he was this kind of coach because LSU had just beaten Nick Saban's Michigan State team in a bowl game.
Right. Yeah,
So
it is a precarious situation to be sure, and
dangerous, very
I
dangerous.
don't know what the answer is, but I think over the next 5 or 6 days we're about to find out.
Well, I
We'll
think
be
he's
back.
gone.
We'll be back here next week, next Wednesday or next Thursday, and talking about who the new coach is going to be, and that's too bad. I'd like to see Les Miles at a minimum be left on at LSU as some type of advisor or consultant, or take Joe Oliva's place for all that is concerned.
I
But
just think I don't think he has that much support from the people that are obviously out to get him. I don't think they want him in any capacity at LSU. I think they want him gone. So that's just
I
my
think
opinion.
he's just got, yeah, he's got such great PR. People know him, they love him. I think he'd be a great ambassador for the school and for the
Well,
athletic program. So it's a damn shame, and we'll see what shakes out over the next few days.
well, I just hope again that the Tigers come out inspired and he goes out with a win because he deserves to be carried off the field because he's not going to coach a bowl game. They'll fire him before then because they're going to have to make a move so that they can save the recruiting class. So anyway, that move on to that from there to just very briefly. I know you're on a tight schedule today.
Yeah.
Just talk
Yep.
very quickly about Florida and the terrible performance they had in a ball game. South Carolina losing to the Citadel. This was not a great week for the Southeastern Conference in any shape,
Oh
form,
my.
or fashion.
Yeah, my goodness. Yeah, that was a pretty tough game to watch with Florida and Florida American. Going into overtime, Florida just didn't show up. They were uninspired, and McElwain went to the Nick Saban and the Brook Trout references to describe what his players' performance looked like. So that was pretty bad. Lucky to come out with a win. Um, Best game of the week, Arkansas, Ole Miss. That was tremendous.
Yeah, and
Arkansas, Mississippi State. And then you
and
have
and Bielema has taken some heat over that one too.
yeah, and look, Mississippi State puts up 51 points on Arkansas, and we couldn't do squat. I mean, so that really tells you.
Well,
Um,
senior quarterback makes a difference. It helps, you know. I'm just going to
oh,
say,
yep,
and you're right. The
yep.
offensive philosophy is totally different. I get that, you know, but it does help to have a senior.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, and to have who knows? I haven't seen their quarterback that's going to take over next year, so I don't know if they're going to take a big step back, and what Mullen has done to develop
Well,
the next guy in line.
and I'll tell you what Mullen's done. Mullen's going to be somewhere else next year because it like right now he's being talked about for the Florida for the Maryland opening. I think Mullen gets out this year. I think he's done all he can do at Mississippi State. So I think that's a change you're going to see in the
Wow,
coaching situation at Mississippi State. I really believe that. I think you're going to see
wow,
him go. Um, I really do. I see no reason for. I think he's done all he can do there, and this was the year for Mississippi State. If they were going to win big with a senior quarterback, this was the year. And I think that he's going to lose a lot next year, and I think it's going to be very tough for him to sustain the kind of success he's had this year and last year.
What about Miami? What about Mullen to Miami?
I maybe I don't think Miami's that great a job anymore. Honestly, I think that honestly he'd be better off to stay where he is than to than to move on to Miami. Their facilities stink. They don't put any money into the program. There's no fan support. Nobody goes to the games. I don't think
Right.
Miami's a good job anymore.
Okay. All right.
That's just my opinion again.
What other coaches do you see on the hot seat, or other coaches you feel like might make a jump?
Well, I mean, I'll tell you. I think next year Malzahn's on the hot seat. They're what going to be 6-6 after they lose to Alabama this week, and so
Right.
suddenly there's a fair-haired guy that was the king of the mountain, 3 years ago, and boy, it's gone south in a hurry. LSU fans, pay attention, you know. So I
Right.
think I think Malzahn could definitely be under the hot seat. As stupid as it sounds, Brett Bielema losing that ball game. Now he's got he's got a 5-loss team, and they're going to expect things from him next year, and he's going to go in with a new quarterback. So yeah, I think there are a lot of guys that are going to be on. I think Sumlin. I think someone could very well be on the hot seat if he loses to LSU this week, and then maybe perhaps loses in a bowl game. I could absolutely see someone on the hot seat. There are a lot of guys out there. The only guy right now that I'd say there are two or three guys right now that are absolutely safe. Saban, obviously, is got nothing to worry about. I think McElwain, because he's been there only a short time, but his offense has been ragged this past few weeks. I mean, they look
Right.
like Will Muschamp offense here lately. Um,
Yeah,
Butch Jones,
yeah,
Mark Richt, they're all kind of sitting there with the water's boiling right now,
right.
and so it's you're one win or one loss away from the whole place coming down on top of you like it did in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, yeah. I totally see it, and when the money gets to be, $3, $4, $5 million a year, I guess the expectations are that you're right there for division and conference championships and playoffs, and that's the wave of the future.
With Carolina after the loss to the Citadel, the interim coach who seemed like he was in a good situation and quite possibly could be a candidate for the job, took his name completely out of the running because he knew he had no shot after a loss like that. So there's going to be a lot of
Wow.
new coaches coming into the conference too.
Yeah, yeah, that was a tough deal to watch. Citadel beating South Carolina, just amazing. And that's a pretty decent job. South Carolina, yeah, you've got your in-state rival of Clemson. You're in the SEC East, so you've got a shot at winning the conference. I mean, the division championship at least on a fairly routine basis. At least in the running. I mean, that's a good job.
All right, so
And
let's
you've got
go ahead.
Missouri's open.
hmm there's going to be a lot of changes. I think we're going to see quite a few new faces next year, obviously with the openings that are already available at some good programs. So, we'll see what happens. Looking ahead this week, we got rivalry week, Iron Bowl. What do you think?
I don't even have to think about that one. Alabama's going to win. No, no. At Auburn, Saban has his team playing not only the physical side of the game, but the mental side, the psychology of the game, and has, all the players are saying the right things, and they're out of trouble. I think they're fairly healthy, with the exception of Kenyon Drake and maybe a couple of other nicks, but Alabama's going to win that.
All right, how about the Egg Bowl, Mississippi State and Ole Miss?
Wow, that's going to be a great game. That is going to be at Mississippi State. I see Mississippi State winning that one. I think they've got a better quarterback. They're at home, and they've got enough fire.
You still there with me, Seth? I'm sorry, I'm having some internet breakup.
Yes. Yep. Yep. I'm here.
Okay, fantastic. Georgia and Georgia Tech.
Uh, Not sure. I think Georgia Tech will win that game.
Really?
Um,
Okay.
it's a toss up. It's a toss up. I'm not sure what's going on the coaching staff there at Georgia, whether Rick is coaching his last game there or not. It remains to be seen. But I think Georgia Tech will win that game.
Okay, very good. And what do you think about the Florida State game?
Florida State. If I wanted total chaos, I guess I'd pull for Florida State to win, giving Florida another loss, and then Florida pulling off a major upset in the SEC championship game. That's really what I'd like to see happen. But that game is at Florida in Gainesville. I think McElwain probably is having the guys circle the wagons and could possibly win that game. It's going to be close though.
All right, and there are plenty of other games, but we got to run here. So LSU and A&M this weekend.
Yeah, you're breaking up. You're breaking up on me.
Games to look at, but really we're going to have to run. But what do you think about LSU and A&M?
Yeah, I'm
Go ahead,
here.
LSU and A&M. What do you think?
LSU A&M. Wow. I'd love to see the Tigers rise up and beat A&M, but I think if there's anything that goes wrong, if A&M gets a quick touchdown or a kick return or a pick six or anything that could demoralize the Tigers early, I think the boys fold their tents and the game could be over with. But I'd love to see the opposite occur. I'd love to see the Tigers really perform as they're capable of, and I think A&M has shown enough frailties on all phases of their game for LSU to take advantage and to see Leonard Fournette possibly have a great game. Um, Last week I picked Ole Miss to win. I think A&M is finally going to get it done and
Okay,
beat
and
a
can you hear me? Give me
downtrodden
thumbs
Tiger
up if you
team.
can. Okay. All right. Just a couple of quick questions. You obviously, when you
I can
came
hear
on
you.
today, you still felt like Les might survive. What's your gut feel? You've heard mine. I'll let you say what you think might happen.
Oh, okay, yeah. Boy, after hearing what you had to say and knowing that you do have the 40 years of experience, and I've been a college football fan for a long time too. I mean, just based upon my book, Gumbo for the Tiger Soul. I mean, I've been following college football since the late 60s, early 70s, and I've seen the coaching carousel go around. And LSU is the kind of crazy place that we all know it is that who knows? Maybe people have been talked off the ledge, as well they should be, to give Les one more shot at this and maybe have a proper send off next year. Don't know. Um, my gut is now, after listening to you, is that he is gone. I
What
wish
do
it
you think
wasn't
the
so,
mood in
but
Tiger Stadium
I
is going to
think
be
I think
like? Is
maybe
it
you're
going to be
right.
a sour, surly mood? Do you think they're going to be supportive of the team and less, or is it going to be, you know, just go out there and expect the worst and be tough on the Tigers all night?
I think that early on it could be very rabid and crazy, and if the Tigers feed into that and start manhandling the Aggies, that it could really get crazy and raucous and just insane. But as I said before, if A&M gets in a couple of quick scores, takes an early lead, kind of the way Arkansas did, that the team could fold their tent and just, offensive line woes, penalties, turnovers, and everything begins to roll downhill, and it's just a really sad and bad way to end things for Les Miles. But I'd love to see the opposite. But I think the fans will rally up and be there for Les and the boys. But if
And the
things go
only sad
sour,
thing
that
about it
stadium could be
from the
empty
other
by
standpoint
halftime.
is I'm really sorry that Chavis is not going to be down on the field just to see what kind of reaction he gets from the Tiger fans. He sits in the box.
Yeah, yeah, he'll get his share of it
What's on the
during
menu for
the
Thanksgiving?
warm-ups, though, I'm sure. Oh, we have about 20 people coming to the house. It's a combination of cooking. We've got a lot of different people pitching in, cooking the usual turkey. We've got a beef tenderloin getting ready to get thrown in the oven, and we're doing some catering too, catering some of the side dishes to make it a little bit easier. But other than that, I'm going to stay close to
You
home this
turned on him.
weekend.
You
I've given
abandoned
away
him.
my tickets, and just gonna. Well, you know what?
Yep.
It's exhausting when you think about every game being a road game. From Houston, every game's a road game, and the closest game is an actual road game to College Station. So it gets to be tiresome at this time of
Okay.
year,
And
and
anything going on with Gumbo for the
I'm
Tiger
just
Soul this
gonna
week?
watch it at home. Well, we're wrapping up our promotions. I've got a donation check in the amount of $1,000 going to the LSU Alumni Association there on campus. I'll be cutting that check in December. Um, uh, I urge the viewers to go to either Amazon or Author House to order your copies there, either hardcover or paperback. And it's still a great cookbook with lots of great stories in it too. So that'll remind you of some of the greatest and not so
Fantastic.
great
Seth,
moments in
always a
Tiger
pleasure.
history
Happy
over the last
Thanksgiving to
40
you and your
years or so.
family. We will talk to you next week and kind of recap and get ready for the SEC championship. All right, buddy. Thank you. Have a great one. All right. Seth Guerra, the author of Gumbo for the Tiger Soul. I'm Brian Houston. This is the SEC Report. We thank you very much for watching, and we will talk to you next time.